What if I told you London, a city that shaped the world, started as nothing more than a small settlement over 2,000 years ago? From Roman invaders to modern-day innovators, London's story is one of constant transformation and influence. How did a city once abandoned by the Romans become the global powerhouse we know today? Picture a city that survived collapse, rebellion, and decay, only to rise again stronger. The next chapter in its story is nothing short of extraordinary. London, the capital of the UK, is home to 8.9 million people, with nearly 40% born outside the country, making it one of the most diverse cities in the world. But did you know London's multicultural history stretches back over 2,000 years? It all began in 43 AD when the Romans built a small settlement called Londinium on the River Thames. Though initially vulnerable, Londinium survived Queen Boudica's rebellion in 60 AD, and the Romans rebuilt it into a planned city. By the late 1st century, it boasted public buildings and a growing population of 60,000. By the end of the 1st century, Londinium had transformed into the heart of Roman Britannia. The Romans fortified the city with a wall between 190 and 225 AD, which defined its boundaries for centuries. But by the 5th century, as the Roman Empire collapsed, Londinium was abandoned and fell into decay. However, the city's story didn't end there. When the Anglo-Saxons arrived, they revived Londinium, setting the stage for the London we know today. After the Romans left Britain in 410 AD, Londinium was abandoned. But in the 5th and 6th centuries, Germanic tribes from modern-day Germany and Denmark arrived and built a new settlement, Londonwic, near Covent Garden. By the late 7th century, Londonwic had grown into a bustling port with around 10,000 people. It was also home to the first St. Paul's Cathedral, founded in 604 AD, which helped convert the Anglo-Saxons to Christianity. By the 9th century, London faced a new danger: Viking raiders. After the Great Heathen Army took control in 871, King Alfred the Great retook the city in 886, rebuilding its Roman fortifications and renaming it Londonburg. The city became a powerful center, competing with Winchester for dominance. Despite facing more Viking attacks, London held its ground. By the time Edward the Confessor took power, he strengthened London's royal status by founding Westminster Abbey in 1060, which became the site of royal events, including Edward's burial and Harold Godwinson's coronation. But 1066 would forever change London and England. Like and subscribe to TimeTales if you've made it this far. In 1066, Duke William of Normandy launched the Norman Conquest, claiming he was the rightful heir to the English throne. After defeating King Harold Godwinson at the Battle of Hastings, William marched on London and was crowned king in Westminster Abbey on Christmas Day. Under Norman rule, fortresses were built across England, with the Tower of London being one of the most iconic. This stone castle became a symbol of royal power. Though London was the largest city, Winchester was the capital until a devastating fire in the 11th century led to royal offices moving to London. By 1097, King William II started constructing Westminster Hall. By 1300, London's population had soared from 15,000 to over 80,000. It attracted people from all over, including traders, merchants, and a growing Jewish community. In 1209, the wooden London Bridge was replaced with a stone one, becoming an iconic landmark. In 1189, London got its first recorded mayor, Henry Fitzaylwin. By 1215, the Magna Carta granted the city special privileges, giving it more autonomy. This helped shape London into an economic powerhouse with thriving guilds and prosperous trade. But with growth came challenges. London's crowded streets became a breeding ground for disease, and the worst was yet to come. In 1348, the Black Death devastated London, killing 200 people daily and wiping out a huge portion of the population. The overcrowded streets made the city a perfect breeding ground for disease. This instability led to social unrest, including the Peasants' Revolt in 1381, where angry farmers marched on London, ransacking the city and killing government officials. Medieval law enforcement was challenging. With no police force, minor offenders were punished with stocks, while major crimes led to public executions, witnessed by crowds at places like Tyburn and Tower Hill. The 16th century marked a turning point. Under the Tudors, London grew rapidly. By 1600, its population had surged to over 200,000. Trade connections expanded worldwide, and companies like the Muscovy and East India Companies helped turn London into a global economic hub. Taverns and theaters flourished, and the Globe Theatre became home to Shakespeare's plays, cementing London as a cultural powerhouse. In 1605, the gunpowder plot shocked London when English Catholics tried to blow up King James I in Parliament. Tensions between King Charles I and Parliament led to civil war, changing London and England forever. By 1642, London supported Parliament, and in 1649, King Charles I was executed, marking the temporary end of monarchy. A decade later, the monarchy was restored with Charles II, but London soon faced disasters. The Great Plague in 1665, killing 60,000, and the Great Fire of 1666, which destroyed much of the city. The fire paved the way for reconstruction under Sir Christopher Wren, who redesigned St. Paul's Cathedral and 52 churches. London's social and economic structures evolved, with the West End becoming a center of aristocratic life, while the City of London grew into a commercial powerhouse. By the late 17th century, the Bank of England and other institutions fueled international trade. Like and subscribe to TimeTales if you've made it this far. By the 18th century, London's population had reached 500,000, with a growing immigrant community from Ireland, Africa, the Caribbean, and Asia. Iconic landmarks were built, such as 10 Downing Street in 1732 and Buckingham Palace in 1761. New bridges like Westminster and Blackfriars were added to ease traffic, and by the 19th century, London became the largest city in the world, with over 1 million people. However, the city's rapid expansion led to overcrowded slums, rising crime, and public unrest. In 1829, Robert Peel founded the Metropolitan Police to bring order. The railways and the underground tube network transformed the city, expanding its reach. In 1851, London hosted the Great Exhibition at the Crystal Palace, showcasing Britain's imperial power. Life in London was difficult for many, with frequent cholera outbreaks. In 1858, the Great Stink led civil engineer Joseph Bazalgette to create a modern sewer system, preventing further outbreaks and improving public health. The 20th century brought 2 world wars. During World War I, London suffered aerial bombings, and 124,000 Londoners died fighting. World War II brought even more devastation with the Blitz, where over 18,000 tons of explosives were dropped on the city. Yet St. Paul's Cathedral stood strong, symbolizing hope. By the end of the war, 30,000 Londoners had died, and many were left homeless. After the war, London rebuilt, and immigrants from the British Empire brought vibrant multicultural energy to the city. By the 1960s, London became a cultural hub, with the swinging 60s revolutionizing music and fashion, thanks to stars like the Beatles and the Rolling Stones. Today, London is one of the world's most influential cities, home to nearly every nationality and language. Its rich history, from the Romans to the Normans, the Stuarts to the Victorians, has shaped it into more than just the capital of Britain. It's a city that truly belongs to the world. Want to explore more stories of London's incredible past? Like and subscribe to TimeTales for history brought to life.